we are joined by the amazing Sadie Jones, who is the founder of CIC. So I'm going to ask her to tell us a bit more about what she does in a lightning talk in a minute. But I will say it's very empowering, it's fitness-based, and there is an absolute need actually for the mindset and the culture around what she's building in today's tech environment. So the screen is yours, Sadie. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. So I guess I'm a little bit like yourself. I have a very much a full-time role in a software company. So I'm a consultant for a global organization. And I guess part of what inspired me, I guess, to kick off She Beasts was the element of being overworked, perhaps, constantly on the go, traveling a lot. So it was obviously kind of pre-COVID. And then taking on my experiences having grown up. So for me, I grew up in quite a difficult environment. Domestic abuse was always, pretty prevalent in our household. And I'd always use sports as a way to, I guess, overcome challenges. So, as a teenager and early teens, I was a sprinter. And then kind of, as I grew up, I got into kickboxing, yoga, personal training, bodybuilding. But it's always kind of been something that I've leaned on as a way to, I guess, escape some of the everyday challenges and darker times. So probably about 3 years ago, I decided or started thinking about the concept of She Beasts. So at that stage, I was working for Advanced in their kind of HCM division, but I was also on the side, as you said, like a side hustle. I was PTing. I'm a female bodybuilder. I'm a personal trainer, but I was PTing both men and women. And I just wasn't getting, the same feedback from training men. It wasn't having the same impact on me, and I didn't feel like it was having the same impact on them. So I decided that I wanted to really kind of create a niche and support women, I guess, that have maybe come from similar backgrounds to me. So I decided to set up She Beasts to really look at how can we empower women that have maybe lost their confidence temporarily, which is obviously a big impact of domestic abuse. But it's not just women that have been through domestic abuse. It happens to the everyday female, especially in very male-driven roles, which kind of in the software space, there's maybe one or two of you. It's obviously changed in the last maybe 5-10 years, but 15-20 years ago when I first started out, I would be maybe the only Black female in a room. So, being confident and having control has always been something that's been like very prevalent in my life. So when I set up She Beasts, I wanted to do something that hadn't been done before. And I wanted to create a community of women that support women. So what I didn't want it to be was just a social company, and I didn't want it just to be a private company. So I wanted to combine the two. So what we do is we take the everyday woman, so me, you, those that are fortunate to have disposable incomes and to be in a situation where we can make choices for ourselves. And we train those women using movement. So movement is huge in obviously creating endorphins, helping with our mindset. And we do different types of movement, rebounding, could be weight training, it might be HIIT training. And we also support them with nutrition. And we take the money that they pay for those sessions and we take 25% of that to support our impact group, which is the women that have been through domestic abuse. So we then, for women in refuge, exactly the same services. The only difference is with the services that we provide to the women in refuge is at the end of the workshops, for those that want to, we offer them apprenticeships or an opportunity to join our organisation, either as instructors or in another form. So we had our first apprentice join us coming up to about 10 months ago. She's officially been part of the team and been on payroll, which is Terry, who's absolutely fantastic. She's a content producer for us. But it kind of proves our proof of concept, really, that fitness and mindset, which are really closely linked. So people assume like fitness and nutrition is the massive link, but it's so not. It's kind of the fitness and the mindset, because without the right mindset and without feeding your mind correctly and giving your mind all that kind of good nutrition that you give your body, the rest just won't really happen. You'll kind of keep running up that hill and falling back down until you get your mind in that right place. So what we wanted to be able to do is, I guess, help women find their inner beast, which is why we called it She Beasts. So we start with getting them doing the movement, which is usually easier. And we use something called rebounding. So it's almost jumping around on what looks like mini trampolines to music in a group environment with other women. Doesn't really feel like exercise. So we start there, and then we progress into kind of the mindset piece. So what we don't do is diets or specific food programs. What we talk about is kind of behavior-based coaching. How do we reframe some of the bad choices we've made previously? Why do we make these choices? Is it because we're feeling down at the time? Is it, because we've had a bad day at work, the kids have been naughty? So we're really trying to understand why we make the choices that we make. And we kind of apply that to nutrition, but also to lots of other elements. So looking at kind of that bigger picture as to, the kind of social status that women have kind of been put into a certain degree. We go on social media and we feel like we have to be this super mom who's super fit, who looks a certain way, walks a certain way, and it's just not realistic. So we kind of try and bring it back to that real woman. And fitness is really much more about that internal process. And then you get the big bonus, I guess, is when you start looking better, your skin looks better, you look a little bit more in shape, but the fitness really starts internally. And that's what I wanted to, I guess, pass on to the women that we work with, because confidence is built from the outside in, if that makes sense.
That's brilliant. That's really, really interesting. I love what you're doing. I love the clear approach. So you're going from sort of having people come in with and getting from your sort of PT experience to actually getting their mindset in the right place to walk and sort of live confidently, and to take actions that would maintain that positive sort of outlook. And I do love the bonus that they actually do some reflection on the choices that they make as well along the journey. It's really cool. So it's less about, oh, look at my amazing Instagram picture, and it's more about, actually, this is how I feel about myself before I even took the picture. I love that. I want to ask you questions about She-Beast as a founder. So what would success look like for you? Because the program sounds great, and as a developer, I kind of wanted to know what your ambition is.
So for me, I guess success looks like a organization that has been organically grown through women that we've supported through workshops. So for us to have a team of strong, confident females that feel good about themselves, that are able to go back out into the communities they came from and be able to teach and coach women that have been through exactly what they've been through. That's success for me. It's about that community, because I think obviously every founder we want to be profitable, but fundamentally I set up a CIC because of the passion I have towards women feeling better about themselves. And I think the profits will come as a bonus. So it's that community of women that are going back out, supporting each other. That's, success for me fundamentally.
Brilliant. Have you thought about sort of app strategies, about technology, how that might help grow the company? I'm literally
we have. Yeah, we literally have just launched an app. So we were unfortunately the victims, or I was an unfortunate victim of some hacking through social media via my main account, which then trickled through to my business account. The app was already in the back of my mind anyway. but it just catalysed the need, I guess, for having a platform where we can communicate with the women we work with without it being a potential threat to these women. Because I think, you know, there's so many, I think as females, we use social media a lot more in a more communicative way than what men do. So, you know, we're talking, we're sending pictures of our children, we're posting where we eat, our birthdays, and we almost make it, you know, easy to become a target of somebody hacking our accounts, because they've got all of this information that we've given freely that we haven't even thought about. So they're, you know, able to access our passwords. So we launched the app, one, to be able to take our community off social media if we wanted to, but also because what we wanted to be able to do is, with the women that we work with, not every woman is going to be with us physically. So we obviously have women in other locations. So we want to be able to provide them with programs that they can do whilst they're away from us. So it's constant. So, you know, within the app, what we do is we share on a weekly basis. So we share a movement of the week. So they get a movement to work on. We share a mindset piece. So it's very much, like I said, about kind of reframing how you think. So very often when I first work with women, the first thing they expect me to do is tell them, not, you know, don't eat this, change that. That's not going to work. This is not my journey. It's your journey. You've got to understand who you are. So within the app, we kind of break down the stages of understanding who you are and how you can make change. We share a recipe. They can also join us on live workouts through the app that we do on a Saturday morning. I'm trying to think what else is in there. So yeah, the app is definitely something that I'm keen to grow, because I think for us to be successful and to reach more women across the UK, we definitely have to be online. And given the nightmare that I had with Instagram and Facebook, I'm not that keen to be building my audience on their platforms. I don't think there's longevity in it. I think they're great platforms for building an audience, but I think retaining your audience, you need to be able to take them away from that space and give them something that's unique to your organization, which is, yeah, why we launched the app.
Hats off to you for launching an app and sort of doing all the work that would have gone into actually getting it live and available on the app stores as well. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I agree that having that community where you can also look at monetization strategies and subscription plans and all that sort of thing. And as a developer, I'm intrigued as to sort of where you're at with those and what your sort of growth hacking ideas are, strategies are, because I can suggest things to you, and these are the sort of things that female tech founders around the world need to share and want to share with each other.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, when the hacking did take place, I was just like it took my breath away, to be honest. That one, it was so easy for them to completely take over my identity. Two, at how poor Facebook and Instagram are in supporting and trying to get back your account. And, you know, for me, I tried for the best part of 2 weeks. We contacted cyber fraud team, we contacted Instagram, we contacted Facebook. We had my employee, family members, friends, acquaintances contacting Instagram on my behalf saying, this is not her, block the account. And in the end, the only thing that seemed to work is I went back to one of my contacts at the BBC, who connected me with somebody that was doing an article already on the hacking that was going on Instagram. And she contacted them, and I was back in my account in 12 hours, which is even more disappointing that they could have done that 2 weeks ago, but it took the threat of additional exposure of a fault or a flaw in their software for them to actually action anything. So yeah, I think it's unbelievable, to be fair. And I think more people need to kind of be aware of, I guess, the flaws in kind of the cybersecurity that are on these social media platforms, but also to be thinking long term about the effects it will have on their business and their audience. because, you know, some of the women that were targeted by the hacker were vulnerable women because they were using my, I guess, my good name and my business name to try and reach these vulnerable people. So yeah, it's really important, I think.
Yeah, it's an eye opener actually what you just shared there. I think a lot of people put a lot of trust in that social fabric that a social network allows to grow very quickly, and they don't realize that the entity itself might not have the motivations to resolve issues as much as you would. So it's really helpful to sort of see it in that context. Now that you're now that you're controlling your destiny as far as sheep is concerned, and as far as the community goes, what would you want to see beyond having a team of amazing PTs or sort of, I don't know, associates in the company that have come through the program with you? What do you want to see as an impact with people that might be already going to the gym or might have heard about you on an Instagram and thought, actually, I might get some value in joining a live session and, you know, sharing a recipe, you know, taking part in the recipe sharing thing? What could you offer to normal people?
So our programs are, as I said, they're completely designed to work for both the groups that we target. So the everyday woman is 100% part of our target audience. The benefit, I think, and the biggest benefit, because I guess most PTs, women's coaches, whatever we label ourselves as, that support women through their journey of either weight loss or fitness or whatever it may be, pretty much offer similar styles of training and nutritional support. I guess where we offer something unique is that accountability, because I think very often what most people, and that's not just women, that's the everyday human being, you know, if you've had a bad day. So what I always say to my ladies is lose the all or nothing attitude, because if you believe the all or nothing attitude is going to work, on those days when you've had a bad day, you're going to almost certainly pick the nothing. You're going to do nothing. So instead, just do something small. So what we want to be able to offer the people that we work with, the women we work with, is that accountability. So not just to yourself, but to that group of women that you're supporting that are our impact ladies. So yes, it's fantastic that you're changing your mindset, you're improving your physique, you're changing your eating habits. But for every woman that we work with, she would be consciously knowing that every time she turns up and she does her subscription and she trains, that a woman in refuge who doesn't have that opportunity is going to directly benefit. And I think the human mind, when we're accountable to something, we're more likely to stick to it. So it doesn't just benefit the woman in refuge, it actually is benefiting the individual woman, because that accountability, I think, is something that a lot of us, when we do it alone, or you do it with just a girlfriend or a PT, you'll say, oh, you know, I got in from work late today, so I don't really fancy it. Or, you know, oh, I can't be bothered. It's raining outside. I'm not going to do it today. I think having that in the back of your brain, it's not going to work every time, but I think it's going to enable you to be a little bit more conscious about your choice and think, oh, actually, it's not just me. I'm actually really helping somebody else, and I'm getting the benefit of helping myself.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We are talking a bit, but this is fantastic. I want to ask you about the women in refuge and the tie-in with sort of the growth plans for She Beasts. Just asking you founder questions, but partly because it's interesting. And also, it'd be good to know kind of your thoughts about bringing in the benefits that's already adding to She Beasts to a wider audience. So it's clearly a big part of why you're doing it, and it's a big part of the value add. Really, this accountability piece you just talked about is really, really, really good, because it means I could decide, all right, I won't stop today's jogging because it's 26 degrees at 7 a.m. Do you know what I mean? I'll actually go and do it because someone out there is going to benefit from what I share about it. Do you think that can scale? And how do you see that scaling as SheBeast grows within the app? Do you think this could happen over different cities, different countries?
Yeah, I think for me, what I would love to see is obviously SheBeasts across the UK. The globe would be fantastic, but let's not run before we can walk. Um, but almost as, I guess, in some ways, potentially almost like in a franchise way, because there's lots of women that have exactly the same skill sets that I do. They may maybe not have come from the background and maybe don't yet have the awareness around the domestic abuse piece, but they have the awareness around, you know, how important physical movement, nutrition, mindset is to an individual. And I think given, you know, the times we currently live in, there's not really anybody on the planet that isn't going to benefit from moving a little bit more, reading a few better books, eating a little bit healthier, cutting out, you know, some of the processed food they've got. So I think that skills transferable across the globe for people that teach other women. I think the SheBeast element is a little bit more sensitive because obviously the impact group that you're working with, you either need to, one, I guess, be empathetic to that group, or two, maybe have come from that background. But I think, again, given where we are in the current climate, you know, the amount of women that are going through abuse, how it's been presented in the media, the change in policies, both by employers, the bill changing, it's something that as a world, we're going to have to start pulling together to eliminate. We cannot continue living in a society where 1 in 4 women or 1 in 3 women are going through domestic abuse and 1 in 2 of them are ending up dead. It's, you know, it's something that has to be dealt with. So I would love to see it as a, you know, a UK, global, mainland UK, whatever it is, as a franchise where there's more women that have the skills already prepared to share them with women in refuge, because a lot of the women in refuge, as you know, as I've said before, when I talk about why I set up SheBeast, if you can survive domestic abuse, you can pretty much survive anything. You just need somebody to give you that helping hand. And unfortunately, when you've been through that abuse, taking that helping hand from men is probably a little bit more difficult. So, you know, there's plenty of strong women. It's just about these strong women supporting each other. So, as I always say, just send back the ladder. If you've made it up the ladder, why would you not want to send it back for another female? It just seems obvious to me.